Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Fred. I'm your host, Fred Rock Fisher. I hope that you see my hat and it makes you smile because it's like the movie Elf where Buddy's working in the department store and his boss says, "Why are you smiling?" He says, "I like to smile." He's like, "Don't smile, but smiling's my favorite." So here I am smiling, hoping this hat brings a smile to your face too. It's December, of course, and I love to wear this hat during the month of December, going out to eat or shopping or anything like that, because I enjoy watching people's reaction. And I love Christmas and I love New Year's, and all of that stuff is fun and exciting. And I have kids, and my youngest is 9, and his excitement also for the holidays is just really cool. And while Mary was gone, Jude helped me put the Christmas tree up, and we had a lot of fun doing that. As you know, my wife Mary and my number 2 son have been gone for a month. They went to South Carolina because Mary's dad had to have back surgery. And while he was in the hospital, her stepmom had a heart attack while she was in the hospital visiting Will. Had she not been there in the hospital, we would have lost her, because it was a pretty big deal, and luckily there was people right there immediately that could help her. So all this stuff happened, and of course there's nobody that lives close because they're in South Carolina. So Mary and Elliot went to go help them kind of get reestablished with their day-to-day routine, and that took about a month to happen. And so last Saturday night they were going to watch a movie together because they left Sunday morning, and they decided to move a recliner from one room to the next. And while they were carrying the recliner, it popped open and it took off the end of Mary's pinky finger, totally gone. And so instead of watching a movie, they spent a few hours in the hospital, and my son Elliot actually grabbed the rest of her finger that was stuck in the chair and took it with him, and they were not able to reattach that. And so she was very, very scared and in a lot of pain, of course. And she was able to see a hand surgeon. Let's see, today's Thursday. I think it was Tuesday morning she saw a hand surgeon, and he looked at it and said, more than likely, most of it will just grow back and it'll be normal. So there you go. So that was a little refreshing for news to hear after hearing words like amputation and flap of skin and all these words that Mary cannot hardly stand to hear. So, being that she's back, we took this week off to just go. Had the finger incident not happened, we probably would have done some drum covers this week, and I would have been back to my Thursday at 4 drum covers releases. So I'm hopeful that we will be back to that next week, and I'll be back on track with posting my Thursday drum covers of some of my favorite songs. And my producer will be back in action. She is feeling a lot better, and I think the news of it's going to be okay is helping up here, and we can get back to our music production business. So when I got on today, I didn't know what I was going to talk about exactly. So sometimes I like to research what national holidays we have. So I looked up a few things. It didn't give me the years on these, but I thought they were interesting. Well, for one, today is the 342nd day of the year. On this day, Beethoven's 7th Symphony premiered. I don't know what year that was, but obviously he must have been alive. SpaceX became the first private company to successfully launch into space. Metallica became the first band to perform on all 7 continents after their show in Antarctica. Has anybody else seen that show? Footage of Metallica playing in Antarctica? I thought it was pretty cool, and what an undertaking to, I guess, get equipment and film crew and all of that stuff there. So I'm sure you could find on YouTube Metallica playing in Antarctica. Oh, as I tipped that, I could see I probably need to stir this up. Does anybody else make their own lattes and such at home? I do, and we'll be doing much more of that because the price for a 20-ounce vanilla latte is now over $6 most everywhere, which is silly prices. Hollywood birthdays. Actress Kim Basinger. I don't know how old she is, but I remember as a young man that she was a hottie. It's National Blue Collar Day for all you guys out there working the blue collar jobs. And in my Facebook memories on this day in 2017, Jude told me, "Dad, you're my favorite rock star." And considering how many rock stars he knows, that's a pretty big deal. And it is National Bartender Day. So when you go out to your favorite watering hole, make sure you appreciate your bartender, which I'm sure you probably do already. And you probably have your favorites. It's also National Brownie Day. Speaking of brownies, because Mary was injured, some friends of ours, the McCalls, decided to bring us dinner on Monday night. Or was it? Yeah, it was Monday night. Enchiladas, which was awesome. Thank you, Chris and Denise, for doing that. They had also brought this pan of brownies, which my kids swarmed like vultures, and they were begging to eat brownies. So I let them. I said, make sure you save some for me and your mom. But by the morning, they were gone. And so Chris and Denise, I did not get to partake in the brownie feast, which is unfortunate because I heard they were great. And let's see. Also on this day, Mary, my wife, has a YouTube channel called Mary Fisher Music. And we released our cover version of Get Here by Alita Adams, which I played drums on. She sang. Christian Housel, who was the principal over at Idaho Fine Arts Academy, played piano. And my good friend Scott Alexander from the band Dishwalla played bass on that. So if you go to Mary Fisher Music on YouTube, like and subscribe, because if you've heard my wife sing, you know that she's awesome. And it's very, very cool. So Mary Fisher Music, check that out. And let's see. I think that's it for the national... there's a holiday for everything. There's probably National Computer Mouse Holiday. I don't know when that is, but I'm sure there's one that exists. One thing that I did want to talk about, because I recently friended Bobby Borg, and if you don't know who Bobby Borg is a drummer, and he's, I think, from New York. I took some classes of his when I was in LA the beginning of November for this music conference, and part of that was music business related things and promoting yourself and moving forward with my music career and what I want to obtain as a independent drummer for hire. Bobby also had been the drummer for the band Warrant. If you guys remember Warrant from the 80s, the late 80s, Down Boys and Cherry Pie and all of those songs that were hugely popular then. He was in the band after... Okay, the first drummer was Stephen Sweet. Then he left the band, and then they had James Kotick from Kingdom Come, who became the drummer. Well, then James left to go play with the Scorpions, and when that happened, Bobby Borg came in as the drummer for Warrant. So, I'd been talking to Bobby and emailing and such, and of course subscribed to his YouTube stuff, and he's been watching some of my drum videos, and he requested that I cover a Warrant song that he played drums on. And so I've been listening to that album. It's called Belly to Belly. I think it came out in 1996, maybe 97. I don't remember which year it was exactly. But of course, growing up in the 80s and being hugely influenced by those bands like Poison and Warrant, I was into all those hair bands, if you will. And then when the 90s came along, of course, I jumped on the 90s train with all the Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden, Alice in Chains and all that. But at the same time, I still liked all those bands from the 80s. Well, when the Seattle music scene exploded, it kind of knocked all of those guys off the radar. And they continued to put out music, but they tried to change their sound just a little bit in production, the sounds of the records they were making, and the style they were playing. Some drop tune their guitars and such, and I think Warrant was no exception to that. So if you listen to Belly to Belly by Warrant, you'll hear a lot of 90s influenced things in there, and Bobby Borg played some really cool drum parts. So I think he's trying to challenge me. So I'm going to learn the song that he sent me and cover that here probably in the next couple months and put that out. I do have others that are in the queue that I've already been working on, so that'll be coming along. But did anybody else listen to 80s bands that tried to convert their sound a little bit in the 90s? I know that I did. Motley Crue was also one of those when they put out their self-titled album, Motley Crue, with John Corabi singing once Vince Neil was out of the band. And that wasn't well received overall when it first came out, but now when people go back and listen to it, they're like, oh man, this is actually really, really good. And so I'll be covering a song from that album as well. Very cool stuff. Also, very cool stuff, I've been part of this sort of growing drummer community on YouTube with doing stuff like this, although this is on Facebook, but my drum covers and tips and tricks and those kind of things, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of product reviews. Well, anyway, this community of drummers, some of them do podcasts and interviews, and I will be on another one of those that are being released on Monday. This guy is from Pennsylvania, and his name is Brian Gribbin, Gribbin, and Brian with a Y, I believe, on YouTube. He's got a ton of interview videos out there available with people like myself, talking about how we got started drumming, what our influences were, what our drum kit's like, and just kind of getting to know us a little bit more. So that'll be coming out Monday. All those interviews that he's done are about an hour and a half long. So some people go, man, that's a commitment. Well, being a little bit new to some of the features in YouTube, you can go to the toolbar, and there the watching speed you can change. So even if you change the watching speed to like 1.5, you're going to drop the watch time down considerably, because the words are going to move a lot faster without sounding like chipmunks. So that's a really cool feature to get through some of those long interviews. And I love watching interviews. I watch tons of Kenny Aronoff videos, interviews on YouTube, and I think I can get through more if I just bump up the speed that it plays back. So that's a really cool thing. Then I just want to wrap this up with Cliff Miller. Many of you know that I play drums with Cliff Miller, and we had been in a rock band together prior to this country music endeavor. And the country music that Cliff plays is going to be more in line with Turnpike Troubadours, Reckless Kelly, Shane Smith and the Saints, those kind of bands, more Americana country, not the modern bro country stuff. I was talking about that in one of the interviews, and like the kind of country that's popular on the radio to me is pretty goofy. One song I heard, the guy said, one of the lines was, chew tobacco, spit. I just about spit my coffee all over the dash of my car when I heard that come on the radio. And so Cliff's music is nothing like that whatsoever. There's nothing goofy happening, and not singing about girls and pickup trucks and beer and tobacco. Oh man, I think we as a society have just dumbed ourselves down so far that lyrical content is lost. But hopefully artists like Cliff Miller can bring some realistic, meaningful stuff back to music, which would be great. So there you have it. Mary's back. Drum covers are coming back. Oh, Mary told me not to smack my hands because it's loud. Sorry for those with earbuds in. Few of those national holidays and things that happened on December 8th. And please go check out Mary Fisher Music on YouTube, and you can check out her musical stylings, which are awesome stuff. So, Coffee with Fred, that's a wrap. And I will see you next week. All right, have an awesome day. And go find a goofy hat to make people smile.